Hi crochet friends, welcome back, or welcome if you're new to my channel. I'm Maggie and this is Maggie May Crochet. Well, I jumped on the beaded blanket bandwagon and created this lapghan and wanted to share this pattern with you. It is very easy. This tutorial is going to focus mostly on how to incorporate beads into your crochet. For this particular pattern, I just did half double crochets, some half double crochets into the back loop only, and I alternated every couple of rows using this colored yarn that I found by Karen Simply Soft. It is called Rainbow Bright, and I thought it just matched up really nicely with my beads. So if you want to duplicate this particular pattern, this is the yarn that I used. The white is just white by Big Twist. I got both of them at Joann's. So this is a really versatile pattern. You can make it any size you like. This particular blanket I made into a lapghan, which is just a little bit smaller than an afghan. It's about 3 feet by 4 feet. Okay, so the materials that you'll need to make your beaded blanket are beads. These are pony beads that I found on Amazon, and I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in these. You'll need 2 crochet hook sizes. I used a 4mm and a 3mm crochet hook for my blanket. I have found that this Big Twist yarn, even though it says that it is a 4 medium weight, I feel like it's a little thinner or on the thin side of 4, so I'm using a size 4mm hook. I'm using a 3mm hook for putting my beads into my work. What you need is just something that's going to be able to fit into your hook and have room for the yarn to pull through. 3 worked well for me, but 2.5, maybe 3 1/4, whatever you can find that fits nicely and you'll be able to grasp your yarn with the hook will work. I am a big proponent for stitch markers. I find that it helps me keep my edges straight because I'm using the proper last stitch when I'm doing my work, so I really encourage you to use stitch markers to help you, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. All right, so to begin, you need to create a chain. Now, you'll make your chain as long as you want your project to be, as long as it's in multiples of 2, and at the end, you're going to chain 1. So for this demonstration, I'm going to chain 30 plus 1, so 31. 1, 2, 3, 4, 27, 28, 29, 30, plus 1. All right, so we have our chain. Now what we need to do is work our stitches back in the other direction. You're going to be placing half double crochets into your chain. You'll start your first half double crochet in the 3rd chain from your hook. 1, 2, and 3. Now you have a decision to make. You can place your stitches into the front of your chain, or you can turn your chain over and place your stitches into the back bumps. I prefer placing my stitches into the back bumps because I think that it gives a better look to the finished edge. 1, 2, 3, turn my work over, and I'm going to place my first half double crochet into this back bump. To create a half double crochet, you yarn over, place your hook into your chain, yarn over and pull your yarn through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, that's my first half double crochet. Now I'm going to place a stitch marker into that first half double crochet because we're going to want to be able to identify that easily when we come back around. Now we're just going to continue with half double crochets all the way to the end. Yarn over into my chain, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops are on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Yarn over into my chain, sometimes your yarn will split, and it's worth taking the time to make sure that you have all pieces of that yarn on your hook, just so you have a neater project. There's my 3 loops, yarn over and pulling through all 3. So I'm going to continue with these half double crochets all the way to the end, and I will meet you there. And at the end, I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to turn my work. Now coming back, I'm going to place a half double crochet, but I'm going to place it into the back loop only. So to find your back loop, turn your work so that it's facing you and you can see the V's on top. We consider this the front loop and this the back loop. We're going to be placing our stitches into that back loop. So I've chained 2. I'm going to come right into this first chain, yarn over, into the back loop, yarn over, 3 loops on my hook, yarning over and coming through all 3 loops. Now I'm going to place a stitch marker here in my first stitch, so that when I come back I'll be able to find it easier. Now we're just going to continue with half double crochets into the back loop only. Yarn over, back loop, yarn over, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pulling through all 3 loops, and continuing all the way down to the end. For the last stitch, we're going to do something just a little bit different though, so I will meet you there and show you that last stitch. Okay, so I'm coming up on the end of my row and I have 2 stitches left, so I'll place my half double crochet in the back loop only, but in this last stitch I'm going to place my half double crochet under both loops. That's going to help us have a nicer, straighter edge to our work. So even though you're doing your half double crochets into the back loops only for this particular row, for your last stitch you want to go through both loops. So this stitch marker is helping me find what my last stitch is. You can see how it curves here, and it could be difficult, especially if you're newer to crochet, finding that stitch. Yarn over, going into both loops, yarn over, and pulling through 3 loops. Now I'm going to switch my crochet hook to the smaller hook because the next row will be our beaded row. So I placed my hook into my loop and I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to turn my work. Now I'm going to place a half double crochet into the first chain. I'm going through both loops because I'm on the end. Okay, now I'm going to place my stitch marker into this first stitch, and I'm going to place 1 more half double crochet into the next stitch. So now we're going to place our first bead. So you'll place the bead onto your hook. You're going to place your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then you're going to pull your yarn through that bead. I find it easier to just hold on to the bead with your 2 fingers here and then pull through the loop. Okay, so that's holding our bead onto our work. Now we're going to yarn over and place a half double crochet into the next stitch, and grasping your bead really helps you keep your tension. Switching to a smaller hook can make it difficult to grab this thicker yarn, but it's just kind of part of the beast when you're doing this, I guess. Then I'm going to place another half double crochet and now another bead. Now you'll find some patterns go ahead and place every other stitch a bead. I like to put 2 in between. It just depends on how many beads you want in your blanket or how heavy you want your blanket. You can choose to just randomly place your beads by color. Whatever you grab is what goes in, or you can follow a particular pattern. I used a pattern with mine. It's just your choice. Okay, followed by half double crochet. And keeping your yarn from splitting is the challenge with this skinnier hook. There's 1 half double crochet and a second. I find that if I kind of pull it through intentionally each loop, it helps me make sure that I have all strands of my yarn on my hook. So I'll grab another color. You're placing your bead on your hook, putting your hook through the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, grab your bead, pull your yarn through your bead, then through the loop on your hook. I'll place a half double crochet into the next stitch, another half double crochet, and now we'll add another bead into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, hold on to that bead, pull your yarn through the bead, pull your yarn through the loop on your hook, yarn over, half double crochet. And this is all you're going to do until you get to the end. I will continue on and I will meet you there. All right, I'm coming up on the end, placing my last bead. And I'll take my stitch marker out to place my last half double crochet into this last stitch. Okay, now I'll switch back to my larger hook, chain 2, and turn my work. Now I'm just going to place a half double crochet into each of my stitches all the way across. So you see that on the front side, more of the bead shows through than the back side, but I think this is pretty with this little diagonal line next to each of your beads. So the back turns out pretty nice as well. So we've chained 2, turned our work, and now I'm going to be placing half double crochets into each of the stitches back across our row. Yarn over into the first stitch and making my first half double crochet of the next row, and I'm going to place my stitch marker into that stitch because I want to make sure that I have nice straight rows or edges, and I'm going to be placing a half double crochet into each of the stitches all the way back. So my next stitch is on this side of my bead with a half double crochet. The next one will be on the other side of the bead. Then I have the half double crochet with no bead. The next one on the right side of the bead. Then a half double crochet on the left of the bead. And that's it. We're just placing half double crochets all the way across into each stitch below. Okay, I'm coming up on the end again. And my last stitch is this one here with my stitch marker. So I'll remove that, place my half double crochet into that last stitch, chain 2, 1, 2, and turn my work. Now this next row, I'm going to place half double crochets into the back loop only again. But remember, since it's our first stitch of the row, I'm going to place my stitch through both the front and back loops. First stitch on your back loop only row is always going to go through the front and back loop, just so that it helps keep our sides straight. Stitch marker goes in, and I'll place half double crochets into the back loop only all the way across this row. And I just realized I haven't been giving you row counts, so I'll do that now, and I'm going to make sure to put this particular pattern, I'll write it out in the description below for you. But row 1 was the half double crochets all the way across. Row 2 was half double crochet back loop only. Row 3 was our beaded row. Row 4 was half double crochet across. This is row 5, and now we're doing half double crochets in the back loop only. So you should be on row 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm coming up to my last stitch of row 5, and I'm going to place my last half double crochet, but because it is the last stitch, I'm going to go through both loops, not just the back loop for this stitch. Now I'm going to change colors, so I'm not going to complete my stitch. When I have 3 loops on my hook, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to grab my colored yarn. To change colors, you just place the yarn over your hook, and you're going to draw that yarn through all 3 loops that are on your hook. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to chain 1 and 2 and turn my work. Now we're just going to be placing half double crochets all the way across to the end into each stitch below. I'm remembering to mark my first stitch of the row and half double crochets all the way across. Okie dokie, I'm coming up to my last couple of stitches of row 6. I want to go ahead and change back to white again, so I'm going to yarn over, go into both front and back loops, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on my hook. Now, I never did cut off my white from the other end. The other side. Once you've changed colors, you can go ahead and give yourself a long tail and disconnect your yarn. Forgot about that with videoing. All right, so now I'm going to take my white and I'm going to pull it through all 3 loops on my hook. leave myself a tail, and chain 2. All right, so now let me just show you this while I'm at it. What I like to do, let me cut my colored yarn off, is take my ends. Now I know some people get all freaked out about tying knots, but I'm telling you, I'm going to tie a knot because I'm going to be placing a border, or I did place a border around my work, and you don't see the knot at all. So I'm going to do right over left and left over right to get a nice secure knot, and then I will go ahead and weave my ends in, and then I'm going to be placing a border, and I promise you, you will not ever see this tiny little knot. So do it your own way if you don't agree. I posted a video on how to tie a knot that doesn't come undone, and whew, you wouldn't believe the comments from people that don't put knots in their work. It's your work, do it the way you like, okay? All right, so I've chained 2, I'm turning my work. You're going to do this for each of your ends. Now we're just repeating what we've done all along. I'm going to be doing a row of half double crochets through both the top, front and back loops. Come to the end, chain 2, then I'm going to be placing half double crochet into the back loop only. Come to the end, go through both front and back loops, chain 2, and then I'm going to do a row of beads, and you just repeat, 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 and I will go ahead and include the pattern repeat in the description below, okay? So yarning over and placing half double crochets all the way across. That's all there is to it. Okay, I'll show you the finished blanket one more time. So this is the finished blanket, and I did go around and place a border using half double crochets. Whoops, sorry, it's out of camera there. So I just half double crocheted into each stitch. When I got to the corner, I placed 3 half double crochets into the corner stitch, and then I went around one more time. I turned my work, so I had half double crochets in one direction, turned the work, and came back around to make my border. Okay, so that's all there is to it. It's really pretty simple, and you can be as creative as you want with your color changes. You don't need to go into the back loop only if you don't want to do that. You can make it simple, straight up half double crochets all the way across. I just kind of liked the change in texture and pattern. I got a little dog hair on this. I finished this a while ago and have been using it. My dogs have been cuddling with me. So anyway, this is the beaded blanket. I haven't come up with a clever name for it yet. Maybe I will by the time I post this video. But I hope you enjoy the pattern. It was truly a lot of fun to make, and I'm looking for an excuse to make another. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. And thank you so very much to those of you who have subscribed. I am enjoying this crochet channel very much, and I hope you are too. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.